What up, Space Fam? Gozen, the Yoriichi fanboy here for AnimeUproar, and I'm back at it again to talk about the latest and extremely interesting developments in the Demon Slayer story. In fact, the secret behind all breath styles and Demon Slayer marks was explained, so definitely stay tuned for that. If you enjoy seeing Demon Slayer content on this channel, make sure to smash that like button to let me know. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you actually get notified when new Demon Slayer videos drop. For more Demon Slayer content and crucial updates about the new movie and seasons, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. There will be spoilers in this video. We are talking about the latest chapter after all. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the manga. Chapter 178 was entitled Even If You Reach Out Your Hand. In this chapter, Kokushibo's sad tale continues, and I'm ecstatic because we get more information about the life of Yoriichi. So last chapter we learned a lot. Kokushibo was spoiled by his father, while Yoriichi was almost killed and treated like a cursed child by that same father. Yoriichi helped take care of his sick mother, while Kokushibo trained in the art of the sword, and did other privileged things. To everyone's surprise, one day the untalented Yoriichi turned out to be an amazing swordsman who far surpassed his older twin brother Kokushibo in skill. As a result, Yoriichi was going to take Kokushibo's place as heir, and Kokushibo was going to be disowned and placed in a temple. However, before that happened, Yoriichi left after his mother passed away and no longer needed his help. He left so that Kokushibo wouldn't have to give up his privileged life, and he took the crappy flute that Kokushibo gave him too, since he loved his older brother and he considered the flute his most prized possession. Despite the fact that Yoriichi had a less privileged upbringing from the beginning, sacrificed everything for his brother, and truly loved his brother more than anyone else, Kokushibo still hated him. He was extremely jealous of Yoriichi's flawless sword skills and flawless character. This chapter starts with Kokushibo wishing that his little talented brother would die. He wishes that Yoriichi was never born. His existence, according to Kokushibo, defied the laws of nature. We jump back into the flashback and we discover that Yoriichi's father tried to get Yoriichi to come back, but he wasn't at the temple. He disappeared without a trace. They didn't know if it was kidnappers or a bear attacked him, but it didn't matter for Kokushibo. The point was that his wish came true. His talented brother, who was an endless source of frustration for Kokushibo, was gone. As a result, he lived a peaceful life for the next 10 years. He even got married and had children. Muichiro, the Mist Pillar, was in some way descended from one of these children. According to Kokushibo, every day was so tranquil during this period of his life that it was even somewhat boring. The flow of time felt extremely slow, and we see that Kokushibo had a peaceful smile on his face, suggesting that he very much enjoyed this period of his life. He could have died a happy man if things stayed the same. However, it wasn't meant to be. Everything changed when the Demon Nation attacked, as they tend to do. More specifically, one demon attacked the place where Kokushibo was camping. The demon killed many people, and all of a sudden, the time that felt like it was frozen began to move again. Long-lost little brother Yoriichi showed up and saved Kokushibo from the demon, but not before the demon killed Kokushibo's subordinates. Ironically, if Yoriichi didn't save Kokushibo at this point, he never would have become Kokushibo in the first place. He would have died a pretty peaceful and happy man, besides the demon killing him part. However, Yoriichi does save him, and as a result, Kokushibo's life is forever changed. Even as Yoriichi saves him with an emotionless expression, Kokushibo has a worried and shocked expression on his face. In part, he feared the demon, and in part, he was shocked at how completely different Yoriichi was now compared to when they were kids. He had not only mastered the sword, he could now easily defeat inhuman opponents like demons. All of a sudden, the 10 years of peace were over. The moment Kokushibo saw Yoriichi, it destroyed his serenity. His stomach burned with jealousy and hate. Yoriichi, after saving his brother's life again after so many years, apologizes, of all things. Not only does he not expect praise for his actions, he is sorry that he couldn't save Kokushibo's subordinates. As Kokushibo points out, Yoriichi was strong, and he was a person of faultless character. He accomplished superhuman things, but never let any of it go to his head. After seeing him, Kokushibo decided that no matter what the cost, he had to make Yoriichi's strength and sword skills his own. However, it's too bad that he didn't make his goal to be a person with a faultless character like Yoriichi. That would have led down a path of serenity for Kokushibo, but he desired the power at the cost of everything else. As a result, he abandoned his home, his wife, and his children and chose the path of a demon slayer, just like Yoriichi did. This is where we get some interesting information. Apparently, Yoriichi taught many people sword and breathing techniques, but no one could match him. Most people could not learn the Breath of the Sun style. As a result, Yoriichi changed the breathing technique in order to suit each person's skills and capabilities. Thus, this is how all the different breath styles came to be. They were all adapted from Yoriichi's original Breath of the Sun technique. Water, mist, fire, and all of the others were created because people couldn't learn Breath of the Sun, the strongest and original form. Not only was Yoriichi behind all breathing styles, he was also behind the markings that Demon Slayers developed. As far as we can tell, Yoriichi, the first breath user, was also the first one with the mark. Because of him, the number of marked ones increased and the power of the other Demon Slayers rose. Even Kokushibo developed a mark and his was identical to Yoriichi's. But he still wasn't good enough to master the Breath of the Sun. He could only learn an offshoot of it, later called Breath of the Moon. Kokushibo really thought that he could catch up to Yoriichi if he just kept working hard and training, but he couldn't, and that fact frustrated him to no end. Then, to make matters worse, the marked ones began dying one after another. Apparently, the mark just gave them more power in exchange for their lifespans. So what was called the golden era of Demon Slayers was about to end soon. It seemed like the skilled Demon Slayers were all about to die. Kokushibo realized he had no future. He didn't have time for any more training. He sacrificed everything, his serenity and his family, in order to become as strong as Yoriichi, and he couldn't do it. All he managed to do was shorten his lifespan in the process. That's when Muzan, the Demon King of Pop, approached him. Muzan explained to Kokushibo that if he became a demon, he could live forever. It would give him a chance to master breathing techniques and perhaps surpass his brother in power and skill. Of course, Kokushibo accepted this offer. He already sacrificed everything he could up to that point. Why not sacrifice his humanity too? Why not double down? Yet it still wasn't enough. He met Yoriichi again when Yoriichi was an old man past the age of 80. This is the part of the story that we already knew. Yoriichi had transcended the laws of nature. He lived past the age of 25 despite having the mark. Not only that, as an old man, he was still way stronger than the eternally youthful demon Kokushibo. Not even Muzan, the strongest demon, could defeat or harm Yoriichi. Only old age could end his life, so he died undefeated. He died right after he showed Kokushibo that, despite all of his sacrifices, he still couldn't approach his little twin brother's power and skill. Then we finally see what happened after Yoriichi died standing up like a boss. Not even old age and death could bring this epic character to his knees. Kokushibo, frustrated and consumed with hate, sliced Yoriichi's lifeless body only to discover that Yoriichi still carried the crappy flute Kokushibo had given him so long ago. Yoriichi has said before when he was a child that he thinks of the flute as Kokushibo. In other words, he never abandoned Kokushibo or left him behind. He always cared about his brother and in a way carried him with him at all times. Upon seeing this, Kokushibo cannot help but cry. He keeps trying to deny the fact that he loves his brother back. He keeps saying to himself that he hates Yoriichi, that seeing his face makes him sick, that hearing his voice makes him so angry his head hurts. Even though he's forgotten the faces of his father, mother, wife, and children, he still clearly remembers Yoriichi's face. For Kokushibo, Yoriichi was the unequaled son, and all the humans around him had no path other than yearning, reaching out their hands, and writhing in agony until they became ashes. In other words, Yoriichi was untouchable. People could strive for his level of skill, but they would never be able to achieve it. Kokushibo could never grab hold of that skill, just like we could never grab hold of the sun. He couldn't keep a hold on anything, not his family or his humanity. He explains that he abandoned all of his morals and principles. He cut down his own descendants and completely abandoned being a samurai. But none of it was enough. Kokushibo remembered when Yoriichi told him that those who mastered their paths all reach the same place. But Kokushibo said he never did. He could not see the same world that Yoriichi saw. He reveals that after Yoriichi died, Muzan and Kokushibo made sure that all the swordsmen who knew sun breathing and its forms were killed. But it somehow remained in this world and came back in the form of Tanjiro. So Yoriichi was right when he used to smile and not worry all those years ago. He knew that people would eventually come that would succeed him, and he was right. His legacy managed to live on, while Kokushibo couldn't leave anything behind. He even cut down his own descendant, Muichiro. Kokushibo asks why they are so different. He wonders why he was born. He directs this question to Yoriichi before he disappears, revealing that he kept the crappy flute after killing Yoriichi. Now wow, what a chapter! It is clear that Kokushibo had very mixed feelings about his brother right until the end. Although he kept trying to convince himself that he hated his talented brother, who loved him more than he loved anyone, it seems like it wasn't that simple. He actually cared about Yoriichi too. Out of everyone, he remembered his face. He cried when Yoriichi died, and we saw that he still had the flute. Kokushibo, back then, was trying to completely get rid of his humanity. He wanted to kill Yoriichi so nothing human remained and he could pursue pure power without anything getting in the way. However, the fact that he kept the flute shows that he didn't succeed in completely discarding his humanity and becoming a monster. He was trying to convince himself that he hated Yoriichi, but after this chapter, it seems like he was trying to mask the fact that he still loved him. He was still carrying Yoriichi with him, and that's symbolized by the crappy flute. It seems like Kokushibo was not as big of a monster as he wanted to convince himself he was. And so it finally seems like Kokushibo's story is over. Underneath the monstrous demon, there was still some humanity left all along. He wanted to be as strong as his brother, and he sacrificed almost everything to do it, but he could never succeed. Nevertheless, he still cared about his brother, and he still couldn't bring himself to completely discard his humanity. Kokushibo's tale really illustrates how dangerous envy can be. It can turn us into monsters. Kokushibo should have looked at Yoriichi's flawless character and tried to emulate that. He should have practiced being selfless, disciplined, moral, and tranquil. He should have been thankful for what he had. For instance, he had a family of his own, while Yoriichi did not. But he could only focus on what he didn't have, namely Yoriichi's sword skills. Growing up, Yoriichi acted like a stoic, aka one who practices stoic philosophy. He expected nothing and accepted everything. Yes, he worked hard to carry out his duty, but he didn't need to be the best. He wasn't jealous of others. He was content with his life, even though he was treated like the inferior brother and had a much more difficult upbringing. All pain comes from our desire for reality to be different than it is. However, if we just accept our reality and learn to be grateful for what we have, we, like Kid Yoriichi, will not need to experience the pain and frustration that turned Kokushibo into a monster. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to improve. You should, and Yoriichi constantly used and as a result improved upon his sword skills. However, even as you improve, you should enjoy the journey rather than being obsessed with some external outcome. The act of improvement should be its own reward and not a means to some goal that you may never attain. If we decide that we won't be happy until we're the best at something like Kokushibo did, then we'll never be happy. Even if we achieve that goal, we'll feel empty inside and immediately create a new goal, and it will become a never-ending cycle of unhappiness. Moving towards external goals can be good, but until we can be happy right here and now with what we have, chances are we'll never be happy. This was Kokushibo's issue. He could have been grateful for having a beautiful family and for not having to kill demons every day of his life. He could have been content with living a peaceful life with them. He could have appreciated the fact that he was one of the best swordsmen in the world, and if he really wanted to, he could have consistently worked on improving his skills while enjoying the process. He could have counted himself blessed because his father made him the heir to his fortunes, and his brother loved him more than anything. He could have lived a truly blessed existence, if only he didn't let his need to be the #1 strongest swordsman ruin his life. Kokushibo had a full glass right in front of him, but he was too busy complaining about the half-empty glass at the other end of the room. It's funny actually, this advice seems like the opposite of what you get in most shonen. Most of the time, shonen promote the idea that you can and should be #1 in the world at something. And there's nothing wrong with trying to be #1, but the key is enjoying the process. You have to be in love with the journey of trying to get there rather than being obsessed with the outcome. If you tell yourself you can't be happy until you become #1, then you'll always feel frustration and anxiety, and that will most likely get in the way of you becoming #1. The key is to let go of the outcome and do your best. That way, you give yourself the best chance to succeed. Ironically, the more desperately you need something, the less likely you are to get it. Yoriichi didn't even want to be the #1 samurai, but he was, while Kokushibo desperately wanted to be #1, but all that intense desire got him was a life filled with pain and unhappiness. My advice is think of a destination or dream you'd like to get to. Then figure out the process that is most likely to get you there. Then commit to the process and enjoy the journey while not worrying about the destination, aka the external outcome. You trying your best should be its own reward. If Kokushibo followed this life advice, he would have experienced more happiness and arguably more success. So, that is my take on Kokushibo. He wasn't a complete monster, but he had the wrong approach to life and it ruined him. Yoriichi was always selfless, and because of that, his legacy lived on. Someone he saved ended up passing on his teachings to their descendants. However, Kokushibo lived a completely selfish life. He left his family and even killed his own descendants because they stood in the way of his misguided goals. So to answer Kokushibo's "why could I not leave anything behind" question, it is because his selfishness led him to destroy his own legacy. To his "why in the world was I ever born" question, it was to teach others about the dangers of a selfish and unprincipled life. We all have the potential to become like Yoriichi or Kokushibo, at least character-wise, and who we become largely depends on the choices we make and the actions we take. Anyways, I can do an entire video about the philosophy of Demon Slayer, and you guys can let me know if you want to see that in the comments, but for now, I should probably wrap up this chapter review. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you thought about this chapter. If you liked this video, make sure to smash that like button to let me know. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you actually get notified when future chapter reviews drop. For more Demon Slayer content and crucial updates about the movie and new seasons, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar, link in the description. A big thank you goes out to our patrons over on Patreon who help make videos like this one possible. I especially want to thank our Pro Hero tier patrons, the one and only Gilgamesh, Nothing But a Fan, Jason Wilson, King Zeldris, Angel Cruz, Steelers, Poe Pablo, Atropos Wraith, Fididala Beat, Ekarad GN, Anatoly Kazatsky, and Lord Aberg. And are the 1 tier patrons, the ones who stand atop all clans, Steven Ingrata, Alola Anatem, Matty Mac 239, Makoto Kun, and ya boy Seth. If you enjoy our work, you can support more of it by going over to patreon.com/AnimeUproar and becoming a patron today for as little as $1. If you do so, you'll get your name featured in future videos alongside these amazing people right here, and you'll even get access to our private patron-only Discord. So check out patreon.com/AnimeUproar, link in the description if you're interested. You can also now join the YouTube channel and support more content that way if you prefer, while still getting the same great benefits. Anyways, thanks again so much for everything, and until next time, see you, Space Cowboys.